Hello everyone, Soberoni of G&A Reviews here, bringing you part 2 to my event guide for the Servant Summer Festival in Fate Grand Order NA. Just like with all my guides, this is going to be a rather in-depth guide taking a look at all of part 2 of the event, so to make things a little bit easier, I've included timestamps in the description down below so you can jump ahead to whichever part of the video you need the most. And as I mentioned, this guide is going to focus on the second half of the summer event, which means you need to have completed part 1 of the event to participate. If you haven't completed part 1 of the event, go back and check out my first guide on the event that covers all of part 1, because there will be spoilers in this video if you haven't beaten it already. I should also mention that part 2 of this event is time gated and it will likely unlock sometime around Monday, August 10th. But with all of that said, let's get right into it by talking about the new servants appearing on the part 2 banner. There will be 3 new servants releasing when part 2 of the event drops, 1 5-star and 2 4-stars. First up, we have the 5-star Summer BB. She is a 5-star Moon Cancer with a max attack of 11,182 and a max HP of 14,812. She is a very versatile buster servant who can serve as a farmer or crit support. She also has a very fun and unique mechanic to lock in command cards that allows for a whole wide range of new strategies. So if you like experimenting with new strategies or you like crit teams, BB is the way to go. Next up, we have the 4-star Queen Maeve. She is a 4-star Saber with the max attack of 8,017 and a max HP of 13,609. Maeve is a hybrid offensive support servant who specializes in supporting arts teams. She can be very effective at her job, but she does rely heavily on some good RNG, so if you like to take chances and you do need an art support, it can be worth picking her up. And finally, we have the 4-star Mysterious Heroine XX. She is a 4-star foreigner with a max attack of 9,751 and a max HP of 11,250. She is a single target art servant who specializes in boss killing, and she's an excellent pickup if you don't have a foreigner already, because they really do come in handy for the upcoming Lost Belt chapters. So those are going to be the 3 new servants that are appearing in part 2. If you'd like a more in-depth review on any of them, I do have full-on spotlights for each of them, and those will be linked in the description down below, so check those out if you haven't already. Now, there won't be any new craft essences with this part of the event, however, the new banner does include all of the craft essences from part 1, and there are 3 that I did not go over in the previous video. So let's take a look at them right now. First up, we have the 3-star Riding High. This gacha craft essence increases your NP gain and NP strength by 5% and increases the guild dollar bill drops by 1. This is a good budget craft essence for NP spammers who rely on NP damage like Ryoma, Uriel, and Media. Next up, we have the 4-star Sunset Jam. This increases quick and arch card effectiveness by 8%, crit strength by 5%, and grants 3 crit stars per turn. It also increases the drops of the fluffy dollar bills by 1. This is a nice craft essence for any kind of arts or quick crit servants like Billy the Kid, Emiya, and Okita. And finally, we have Hero on the Beach, the 5-star gacha craft essence. And this one increases your buster card effectiveness and crit strength by 10% and also generates 3 stars per turn. It also increases the BB dollar bill drops by 1. And this is an excellent CE for any buster crit servant like Gilgamesh, Rama, or Raiko Lancer. In addition to those craft essences, there are also 3 limited command codes that you can obtain from this event. So let's talk about each of them. First up, we have the 3-star command code Crest of Humanity. This one increases the crit star generation of the engraved card by 30%. And it's obtainable by having 100,000 of each point and being on noon of day 1. This command code works best when it's attached to the quick card of a star generating servant like Fuma, Cursed Arm Hassan, or Ushi Assassin. Next up, we have the 4-star command code Armament of Triumph. This increases the crit star absorption of the engraved card by 100%, and it becomes available when you have 250,000 of each point and you're on night of day 3. This command code works very well on servants who have a decent star weight but not extraordinary, servants like Sabers, Lancers, Archers, and Assassins. And I highly recommend equipping it to an arts card for a servant who relies on crits to boost their NP spam, like Ryoma, Uriel, or Summer Jean. And finally, we have the 5-star command code First Servant. This grants a self-damage cut by 300 for one time or one turn when attacking with the engraved card, and it becomes available on noon of day 6 when you have 500,000 of each point. This can be a useful command code on any kind of stall servant like Mosh, Jean, or Merlin. Aside from those command codes, you can also obtain 3 command code openers from various quests. The Arts command code opener is obtainable on noon of day 4 when you have 100,000 ink points and 250,000 hat points. The Buster command code opener is available on noon of day 3 when you have 250,000 paper points and 100,000 hat points. And the Quick Card command code opener is available on noon of day 5 when you have 250,000 ink points and 100,000 paper points. Finally, you can also obtain a command code remover by being on night of day 4 and having 300,000 ink points and 300,000 hat points. And that covers all of the command codes and craft essences, so let's talk about the costumes. There is no new event shop for part 2 of the event. However, as you may have noticed, there are a number of servants who have new costumes available, so let's go over how you unlock them right now. First off, we have the new Mystic Code available, which actually becomes available at the very start of the event. This Mystic Code can buff Arts Card Star Absorb, your Arts Card Noble Phantasm damage, and it even gives NP charge. This makes it perfect for any Arts servants with powerful single target Noble Phantasms like Uriel, Robin Hood, and Archer Arturia, and this is one of the better Mystic Codes that we get. Now we also have new costumes available for Dante's, Caster Gill, and Robin Hood. You can unlock these costumes by collecting a certain amount of points, and you'll find the mission available on a certain day. If you want to unlock Dante's new costume, you will need 200,000 paper points and 500,000 hat points, and you will need to be on night of day 5. If you're looking to unlock Caster Gill's new costume, you'll need 400,000 ink points and 150,000 hat points, and you'll need to be on noon of day 2. And for Robin Hood's new outfit, you'll need 100,000 ink points and 300,000 paper points, and you'll need to be on noon of day 3. And there's also an additional 2 new costumes available for Summer BB once you beat all of the event raids in part 2. So let's talk a little bit about those raids. Part 2 of this event differs greatly from Part 1 in that it no longer revolves around different types of points, but instead it switches to being all about raids. These raids are going to be very similar to the Apocrypha and Onigashima events, where enemies are going to have a large health pool that you need to whittle down by fighting them multiple times. There are going to be 4 raid bosses in total. However, unlike those events, these raids are going to be local and not server-wide. So you don't need to worry about rushing to defeat the raid before they get killed by other players, because each raid is self-contained to your game, so only you can lower the raid boss's HP. So in a sense, it's better to think of these as a series of boss fights rather than a raid. As for the rules of the raids, those are very straightforward. There are no Saint Court revives or Command Seal revives, and each battle only lasts for 15 turns. In that time, you can either kill the raid boss, survive while doing as much damage as possible, or lose. Whether you beat the boss, you stall out, or if your team gets wiped out, whatever damage you do still counts towards the total damage done to that boss, so you don't need to worry about dying. However, if you withdraw, then none of the damage you do counts, so don't ever withdraw from a raid. Raid battles also drop a ton of points if you beat them, so it can help you with clearing out the event ladders if you haven't already. After you deplete a raid boss's entire HP gauge through multiple raid battles, you will then face them one last time in a final battle where they are much weaker. Beating them in this final battle will give you an additional copy of Jean Alter Berserker. As I mentioned earlier, there are going to be 4 raids in total, with each having a different raid boss. In addition, each raid is going to have several stages where their HP and skills may change depending on how much total HP they have remaining. The closer they are to being defeated, the stronger they get. The first raid fight is going to be against Kiara, who is going to be of the Moon Cancer class and have a total HP of 1,300,000. Her raid battle is going to be split into 3 phases. While she's at full HP, her raid is going to have 200,000 HP. When her HP goes below 1,100,000, she is going to have 300,000 HP. And when her HP dips below 800,000, her HP is going to go up to 400,000. One thing to note about this battle is that even though Kiara is going to be a Moon Cancer for this fight, she actually has a passive skill that gives her class advantage against rulers, which can make her extremely difficult to beat. As for her other skills, she also has increased resistance against all attacks during noon. She can cast Taunt at the start of the battle, and she can increase her charge to max. Once you totally deplete her raid HP bar, you will face her one last time, where she will have 58,000 HP, and if you beat her, you will get a copy of Jean Alter. Next up for the second raid, you will be up against the Demon God Coconut Milk, who is going to be of the Moon Cancer class. He's going to have a total raid HP bar of 1,600,000, and his fight is going to be split into 2 phases. When his HP is above 1 million, he is going to have 300,000 health for each fight, and when his HP is below 1 million, he will have 500,000 HP for each fight. At the start of the battle, he will inflict poison on all of your allies. He can also increase his charge by 1 per turn, inflict defense down on one of your allies, remove all of his debuffs, and increase his HP by 50,000. Once you totally deplete his HP bar, you will face him one last time in a smaller fight where he only has 56,000 HP, and once you beat him this final time, you will receive yet another copy of Jean Alter. The third raid battle is going to be a little different. You'll be up against BB and Anastasia, and they will share a total HP bar of 1,600,000. While they're at full HP, you're just going to be facing off against BB, who's going to be an alter ego with 350,000 HP. When her HP dips below 1,250,000, she will then move up to 450,000 HP. As for her skills, BB is going to have a permanent increase to her crit strength during the night, and she's going to have a chance to reduce all buster card damage to 0 during the day. In addition, she's going to inflict burn on all of your allies at the start of the battle, and she can inflict the pig status on one of your allies. Once their total HP goes below 800,000 though, you'll switch off to facing Anastasia. For the first half of the Anastasia fights, she will have 350,000 HP, but once the total HP dips below 450,000, Anastasia will have 450,000 HP. For Anastasia's skills, she's going to decrease your quick, arts, and buster card effectiveness permanently during the night. She will also increase her NP charge by 1 per turn, apply Sure Hit to herself, and she has a chance to decrease your arts card damage to 0. And of course, once you completely finish off their HP bar, you will face Anastasia one last time, where she will have 57,000 HP, and you will be rewarded another copy of Jean Alter if you win. And finally, the last raid battle is going to be a gigantic battle against the new and improved BB. She is going to have a total HP of 1,800,000, and the fight is going to be split into 4 parts. BB is going to be of the Foreigner class, and for the first portion of the fight, she is going to have 300,000 HP. Once her total HP dips below 1,500,000, she is going to have 400,000 HP. Then once her HP dips below 1,100,000, she is going to have 500,000 HP. And once her HP dips below 600,000, she will then have 600,000 HP. Her skills include decreasing the defense of all your allies permanently when facing her during the night. She can also increase her NP charge to max and decrease the NP gain of all of your allies. And of course, once you deplete her entire HP bar, you will face her one last time where she will have 60,000 HP, and beating her will reward you with your final copy of Jean Alter, as well as 2 costumes for Summer BB. And congrats! Once you've finished off the raids, you've effectively beaten the entire event. However, there is still one challenge remaining if you choose to take it, and that is the challenge quest. The theme of this fight is going to be facing the previous year's summer servants in both their original form and their summer forms. The way this challenge quest is going to work is you're going to face off against the original servants. Each of them is going to have very low HP and the break bar. Once you deplete their first HP bar, they will then change class and transform into their summer forms. They will also grant themselves a special buff or debuff your party once you break their break bar. In the case of Summer Fran, she's going to remove all debuffs from herself and increase her own attack for 3 turns, while decreasing her defense for 3 turns. Summer Helena is going to increase her own crit strength for 3 turns. Berserker Nobu's instantly going to charge her NP gauge to max. Summer Nidokris is going to apply Evade for 1 turn. Raiko Lancer is going to increase her crit rate for 3 turns. Maid Alter is going to decrease your party's crit star generating for 3 turns. Nero Caster is going to increase her NP charge by 1. And Rider Ishtar is going to decrease your party's attack for 3 turns. There really isn't a silver bullet to beating this challenge quest, you just have to choose your targets carefully. There are certain servants who need to be killed immediately after you break their break bar, like Helena and Nobu, because they can Noble Phantasm very quickly. The enemies have a very low HP bar, so you can actually use brute force to clear this if you have an AoE Berserker or an extra class servant, especially if they're NP2 or higher. Having a non-alter ego extra servant like Hokusai or Ruler Martha can help make this a lot easier, because then you don't have to worry about class advantage, since there are so many different enemy classes. Likewise, you should also bring some buff removal because it helps a lot. AoE buff removal on Amakusa is invaluable for this quest because it can take away the enemy crit and attack buffs. Rider Martha is also a great choice here, as she can remove enemy buffs and cleanse your team of debuffs. Marie Rider, Media Lily, and Jean are likewise excellent choices for their debuff removal and good defense. Offensively, you should try to bring Berserker or extra class servants who have strong AoE attacks, or if you want, you can bring servants who can deal a high amount of damage but have good survivability, like Herc, Ku Alter, Lancer Ku, BB, or even Berserker Jolter. You should also bring some stall servants who can prevent enemies from Noble Phantasming with stuns or NP drains like Waver or Tamamo. If you choose your targets carefully, this really shouldn't be a difficult challenge quest. And that just about concludes everything there is to this event. Make sure that you clear the raids because they're fairly easy. Remember, you don't need to kill the raid boss. Even if your team gets wiped out, all the damage that you did still counts. So even newer players should be able to beat the raids. And it's definitely worth it to get an NP5 Jolter. But if you have any other questions about the event, let me know in the comments down below, and if this event guide helped you, please do leave a like and consider subscribing so you can catch all of my videos as they go up. If you haven't already, do join the party over in our Discord, follow us on Twitter, and follow us on Twitch. And until next time, this is Sober Oni, signing out. Later.